Hello, welcome to the Remotely Speaking podcast. I'm your host, Chastity. Today, I'm playing it solo. My husband, Paul's not here because today you get the treat of the mother-daughter duo. Our special guest today is Melanie Yates, owner and founder of Agency Resource Solutions and founder of Sidekicks. And if you listened to episode 1 and probably episode 2, you heard a little bit about her story. And so we thought we would have her on today to talk about her story herself in her own words. So say hello, Mom.
Hi.
Melanie is my mom. And so we're just going to chat today and see where it takes us. How about it?
I was about to say, you introduced me as the owner, founder, whatever. And I was like, but really, most importantly, I'm just your mom.
Yeah, this is my mom. Isn't she beautiful and wonderful? And so, Mom, they know you as all the fancy titles that I just spouted off and my mother, but why don't you tell them a little bit about the person that is you, a little bit about your history, where you came from.
Hey, everybody. I'm so excited about being on my first ever Remotely Speaking podcast. I'm originally from Louisiana. I grew up in South Louisiana, down the bayou. And so I am the oldest of 5. My dad still is here. 4 of my siblings still here, and grew up very modestly would be overstretching. I mean, we really came from a very poor, modest family. I graduated Saline, Louisiana, became a young mom, and you were the first one to call me mom. I was pregnant at 17, had you at 18, and I like to say that we grew up together because that's kind of what happened. Because sometimes I think you probably raised me as much as I raised you.
I was the kid that my mom would come to the classroom and everybody like, oh, your mom's so cool. She's so pretty, because she was young, right? Like she was one of us, kind of.
Right.
So that was neat growing up together. I agree. Sorry, I interrupted you. Keep going.
So at 18, I was married, and I was a young bride and a young mom. And so I never got the opportunity to go to college. So my work experience as a young mom was basically retail, part-time jobs, minimum wage jobs, just trying to make ends meet. And then that marriage did not last long with your, as you know, your biological dad. And we were in Louisiana. And a few years later, I met your stepdad, who was in the military, stationed at Fort Polk, Louisiana. Shortly after that, we married right before Desert Storm. And he deployed for many, many years till he retired in 2007. So we traveled all over the place during that time while you were growing up. As you know, you have a story yourself about all the schools you attended and all the houses you lived in. But when we got stationed at Fort Stewart, and someone approached me about selling insurance. And it was door to door, and it was cold calling on military members through the Military Benefits Association. And through them, I got my life insurance license, and I did very well. But it was very demanding and not consistent. And luckily, an insurance agent in Savannah, Georgia, who had an agency there, offered me a position, and I jumped on it. And I started in agency in 1994 in Savannah, Georgia.
And then everywhere you went?
And everywhere I went, obviously us moving around, there was always having your insurance license is kind of a good thing on your resume, because no matter where you go, there's an agency ready to take someone on with experience and with the credentials that's needed. So I never had a problem finding a job after that. And I worked for 7 total agents in my career. And then in 2011, life just happened, and I still had one child at home in middle school. It was kind of a transition. He was going from elementary to middle school, which made my commute about an hour longer because he went to school in the opposite direction. And then you were already in Macon, Georgia, in law school, and so we decided we were going to basically follow you. So, so my then agent boss allowed me to work from home remotely. He didn't let me quit, and thank goodness he didn't, because thanks to him now, this is where we are. So, to wrap it up, I spent some time at home, came up with some ideas of things that I could do from home, and developed the system that allowed me to do what I was doing in the office, which took me like 8 hours. Now it's taking me about 2. And so I was able to take on more and more things, and the office team members were able to more concentrate on the things that they needed to do.
Yep.
So then the time came, you were pregnant with my first granddaughter, and that changed everything, because my only goal at that time was to be a Mimi.
Yeah. Mimi
And I
wasn't
didn't even
having any
care.
baby in daycare. That's what it was.
I didn't even care if I went back to work in agency, but my boss allowed me to take my laptop. He said, hey, if it'll work an hour away, it'll work 6 hours away. Take that laptop right on to Georgia with you, and let's keep this thing going. And so that's what we did. And I sat in my recliner, and I worked for that agent while my little sweet baby grandbaby laid in my lap.
And I think it's important to point out that this was 2011 and 12. Like,
Yes,
remote
right.
work wasn't really.
It wasn't even a thing.
Yeah. I mean, when you got a laptop and took it home with that agent in North Carolina, that was like a big deal to try to figure out things that you did very manually in the office on a piece of paper. Like, I always
Right.
joke when I tell this story, when you're not around to tell it yourself, that some of the stuff you did, it used to like print on a dot matrix printer with that green and white paper where you had to like rip the sides off.
Yes, yes.
And you'd hand check it every morning. And so for you to not only get a laptop and figure out how to log into a VPN from home, and then to find these like very manual things on the computer and then come up with a super efficient process, you make it sound so simple, but it really was.
It's so tech savvy at the time.
Who knew? You're like a tech genius.
Whatever, yeah.
And so I think it's important to point that out, that you very, very much simplify it like, oh, it's so easy. I just went home and I figured this thing out, and then here we are. But it wasn't that easy.
I like to say we were remote before remote was cool.
Yeah. So my mom, Melanie, made remote cool. All right. So you followed me to Georgia because I had a baby, and I called her. I'll never forget this conversation. I said, Mom, I'm pregnant. And she's like, oh my God, what are you going to do? You're practicing law. And I was like, I'm going to keep on practicing law. She'll be all right. I accomplished my lifelong dream, and I'm here, and the baby will be okay. We'll figure it out. And she's like, I'm coming. And so for real, she put her house for sale. She called my dad, and she's like, you're retiring for real this time. We are moving. And so that is how she took a laptop from North Carolina to Georgia.
My only goal, because raising you guys, it was never a possibility for me to stay at home with you guys. And I just remember over the years dealing with so much guilt, like if you didn't feel good, or like wondering, should I go to work? Should I stay home or call in sick? And regretfully looking back on my life, most of the time going to work won, and I always felt like I was putting my babies on the back burner. And then y'all were kind of like latchkey kids. You went to daycare, after school daycare, you had babysitters. And then when you got old enough, you were the babysitter and of your 2 brothers. And I was just determined that if it was possible, my little grandbabies were not going to be raised like that. They were never going to see the inside of a daycare. And if anybody was going to babysit them, it was going to be me. And that was my only goal. And make a little bit of money to help the household income. Never in a million years would I thought this would happen.
So why don't you fill in the blanks for us then? Because we know how you got one agent and you were in Georgia and
Okay.
you were rocking the grandbaby.
Okay.
But how did it become an empire?
Okay, so, moved to Macon, Georgia. Short version is I moved from North Carolina to Georgia, and you have to switch your insurance when you move state to state. So I went, found my new agent, introduced myself, and at that time, you had to dock your laptop occasionally to get updates. And so I asked him when I went to pick up my new ID cards, I said, hey, I'm a team member, but I work remotely. I will need to dock my laptop from time to time. Could I use your server in your office? I'll drop it off on a Friday, pick it up on a Monday. I won't bother you. And he's like, because obviously remote work wasn't a thing then. He was like, well, what exactly do you do? And I explained it to him, and he said, wow. He's like, I've been searching for someone. He said, but you already got the experience. You already got the license. You're already doing it. He said, I think I'd like to give that a try. Do you have room for one more? And I'm thinking, do I have room? I'm watching my grandbaby. I'm done in like an hour and a half, 2 hours. Yeah, I'll do it. I said, but am I allowed to work for 2 agents? And he checked and checked with his compliance officer. And I took on my second agent in September of 2012. And I think little Maddie was just a couple of months old.
Yep.
And he told his brother, who told another agent, who told another agent. And before you knew it, I was sitting in that recliner working all day. Maddie was awesome because she slept all the time. And I was making more money than you were making as a lawyer. And I remember I never get that call one day, and because she was not doing very good at lawyering.
I was an
Because
awesome
she was
lawyer.
so distracted all day. She was sending me messages with hair bows, girl clothes, ruffly bottoms, and all the things she wanted me to buy with my newfound money for the baby. And she was all distracted.
So my side of that story in that time, I was good with it for a while, right?
Right.
And then obviously babies start growing and they start having milestones, and I was missing those things. And then I remember the turning point. There's a picture that comes up in my Facebook memories every year. And my mom snapped it because I came home in my suit and my stilettos. I came to her house. Maddie had RSV and she was not getting well. And for 10 days straight, I had to hand my very sick baby over because there was something very important happening at work. I didn't have a choice. And I would come home and just rock her and like cry that I wasn't there and I didn't have a choice.
You were coming home at lunch. You were coming to my house on your lunch hour.
At my lunch hour, Mom would feed me and I would just rock Maddie. And there's this picture that signifies that turning point in my mind. Like, this is my dream, but not anymore. Like, this baby has changed my life. And so in that moment when I saw my mom working and making a living, and she was getting to do it all, and she was experiencing the things that I wanted to be experiencing, we started kind of talking. And Mom, how many agents did you max out at? We found out the limit was...
At one point, I think they locked me out at 17.
Yeah, 17 agents. So she was working for 17 agents, making their lives easier, and still somehow had time, maybe not a lot of time, to watch my baby. She probably, forewent showers.
I didn't shower, though.
She didn't get out of the recliner. It was fine. No one knew she was working from home.
Showers and sleep were overrated back then, yeah.
But she was there and present, and that's what I wanted to be. Yeah. And I quickly found out that the practice of law, at least the kind that I was doing, was definitely not the family kind, the family-friendly, work-life balance kind, even though the firm I worked for was fabulous. And I probably could have worked something out, but the priorities definitely shifted for me. And so when Mom got to a point that she couldn't help any more agents, I started asking questions like, lawyer knows how to form a company. Maybe we should make this something, right? But before that, I begged you to just train me. And so we trained on my couch with my baby.
And I was more than happy to have the help because it was becoming overwhelming. But I was afraid to I was afraid to cap it because, you know, I had so many agents saying you're onto something, and someone was going to pick up on that idea if we didn't keep it going. So Chastity said we should form a company, and we did in
2013.
2012.
13.
Oh, 13.
Yep.
Okay. The
We-
following year. So we worked for a little bit, and then we
Yeah.
figured
Because
everything out.
we were like, well, maybe this is a fluke. Maybe it's Melanie. You know, she has all this experience, and so maybe those 17 agents just trust this word of mouth because of who she is. And then my mom trained me on my couch. My baby was in my lap, and our weenie dog was on the couch in between me and her.
We have some
and
pictures of that too.
it was a whole thing. And she trained me to do what she was doing. And then before I knew it, I had 11 agents, and I had made the tough choice to take a chance and to be home and to step away from the practice of law. I didn't know at the time if it would be temporary or if it would become a thing. But then we really quickly figured out that the two of us couldn't do it all, and agents all over the country needed help. And so we started training other people at your kitchen table and my kitchen table and random offices and random hotel conference rooms.
Right. And what started happening is once agents realized how much we could take off their plate, they realized more or less they didn't need to have as many team members as they had. And so I was actually having agents reach out to me and say, hey, now that I've got you doing this, I've got this team member. She's not equipped to sell. She's more service related, but she's awesome. Could you use her? So it quickly became not just that we were serving the agents and helping them in their offices, but they were able to save on their payroll and and actually help out other women just like you. And so I'm very proud of what we've built, and I'm so proud of what we do for agents. But I say this all the time. The one thing that my goal was that my grandbabies never had to set foot inside of a daycare. There are now thousands of them at home with their moms or their dads, and they're not in daycare, and they're being raised by their parents. And that brings so much joy to me that I'm able to do that for other families. I wasn't able to do that for mine, but somehow it just brings me so much joy. And we hear those stories every time we're in training, and we hear someone's why, or I'll get an email about thank you so much for doing what you do because I'm able to do this or that. And so it's really special. It really is. And so that's kind of the short version. How many agents are we at? Starting with just 2 in 2012 to now, we've probably run through.
We've helped
probably
over
enrolled
5,000.
more than 5,000 through just agency resource solutions, and that's not counting sidekicks.
Yeah. And what's even cooler is, you said it yourself that all you wanted to do was be Mimi and watch your grandbabies. Well, now I get to watch my own baby, right? So
That's right.
all of those families that you impacted, you're mine. I mean, my children's lives are so much different because of what you figured out for your family. And I was already out of the house, so it was my little brother who got to benefit from your arrangement, within our immediate household.
But he was already in middle school, but still I got to be at
Yeah.
everything. I got to go on field trips that I never really got to do with you guys and stuff like that. So yeah, towards the latter part, I did get to do that, and I'm very grateful. And not just your children, but the other 3, your brother's kids, also their moms are able to stay home.
Yep. The whole family. It's all in the family, and so that's been really cool. Did you ever think that this would be do you ever look back and go, holy cow, how in the world did that happen?
Yeah, every day. Like even now, some days we joked about this last week when we were at a meeting in New Orleans. Like I check my email, it's spam, or I'm just CC'd on an email, and by the time I look at it, somebody's already answered it, so things get taken care of. And, I am blessed that I have you running everything, and, I'm just sitting back watching this company grow. And, I put in my time, but I pinch myself sometimes thinking, gosh, I never in a million years thought we would get here. For me, the prize was because I had never been able to be at home, a be-at-home mom, so being a at-home grandma, and still be able to make money. To me, that was winning. To me, that was my ultimate goal. That was being rich. That was my thing. And now here we are all these years later. And no, I never would have ever thought that I would, I get people that tell me, oh, you're so awesome and independent and successful career woman. And I never set foot in a college classroom. And all I really set out to be was a mom and a grandma. And I wanted to do that to the best of my ability.
Yeah. And business owner wasn't even on your agenda.
No,
You just
never
had a
on my
heart.
radar.
You had a heart to help, right? Agents reached out. You wanted to help them. They needed help.
I did. And that's exactly what it was. They said, hey, I need help too. And I had a hard time saying no. So I had capacity. So I tried to help as much as I could. And so that's how it all began.
Well, and that's the heart of it all. I mean, to this day, we find ways to help people. Agents, we help families, we help communities. That's the way that our business is operated. And I truly believe that your heart in the very beginning is why our companies have been so successful, because you weren't in it for the money. You weren't in it for the big business idea and to make it big. You were literally in it to help one agent at a time. And then when you ran out of space, you trained the next person that had space to help. And then here we are, right? Like, it's kind of nuts. And 13 years later, you've done exactly what a great leader does, which is hire the right people. But you definitely put in your time. Why don't you tell us about those early years? What did your day look like, Mom, after you were done you were working your 17 agents, but you also had this business. So tell us what your days looked like.
Okay, so I can remember we bought a house in North Carolina, and we literally lived in that house. Oh gosh, I can't remember the years, but probably 2.5 to almost 3 years. And that was in the heart of when the business was really, really growing big time. I probably had like 150 agents. And I can remember sitting in my office from the time I opened my eyes at like 6 a.m. to when I would fall in bed at maybe midnight, and I don't think, I probably could count on my 10 fingers how many times I sat in the living room with the family and watched TV. I ate in my office. I watched TV in my office. Everything had a computer. I was attached to that laptop. Because not only was I trying to grow the business, like I was selling it, I was signing up agents, I was quality control, I was hiring, training, and I was working for 10 agents. You had taken on some and taken some off my plate. But I mean, I did not. There were days I'm ashamed to even say this, in the same pajamas for a couple of days because I just couldn't find the time to do anything else. Maybe brush my teeth, but luckily I didn't have to see anybody in person because everything was done over the phone at that time until we started doing, I don't know if it was even called Zoom then. It was kind of like
it was called Link.
Link.
Do you remember that?
And I was doing like a little video presentation, but yeah, then I actually had to do my hair.
So I remember that. So it was every Tuesday she had to get dressed. because they had their Tuesday call, and it was the most exciting thing because we would get all of these emails. So from 2012 2013 when we officially formed the company until I actually remember it was 2015 because I was pregnant with baby number 2 and I was looking to come into the leadership team with you, and so we were looking at that transition period. So, because in that time you were doing it without me. I helped do the legal junk to form the company, but then I was just working my agents and minding my own business.
You were just basically a remote service specialist. Yeah.
I was just a remote worker, and then we started really, really growing and taking off, and decided like, this could be the family legacy. And so that's when I came on. And I remember my husband Paul watching my mom. She was at my house, and instead of sitting at her desk, she was at my kitchen table, and he watched her for a whole weekend or a whole week. We got snowed in, and she never got up. And he was like, "There's a better way, Mel. We can definitely make you a website, and we can make it where agents can sign up online instead of you having to like do this manually." And so I think that was like a big turning point in the company.
Oh, it was a huge turning point. And when he started automating stuff, I was like, wait, you mean I don't have to send that email?
It's like magic.
Like, you're going to just like touch a button and like it's just going to go out? And he's like, yep. I'm like, okay. So emails were going out. I mean, he was just clicking buttons, and I was like, and he was jotting stuff down. Next thing you know, he was just making it work. And I was like, oh my gosh, my life just got so much simpler. Yeah. Speaking of Paul, I like to embarrass him because
I love this.
I'm very good at matchmaking too.
She did.
Yeah, well,
she found him.
I'll interview you. Won't you tell that little story?
Yeah, so my mom definitely gets credit for Paul entering my life. My dad was deployed. That's again. And then my husband, then just a little lieutenant who had come back from Ranger School. So he was actually supposed to deploy with my dad. And he missed it by a short window of time because he was still in training. And he got to Fort Stewart, Georgia, where we were. And I was actually living at home, going to school at night, working in an office with my mom and during the day.
And you had a boyfriend.
And I had a boyfriend who was deployed. He was cheating on me. We found that out. But my mom had really good, she was running the wives group. So all the soldiers, the wives who were home and their soldiers were deployed, she led them. My mom, natural born leader, was leading the wives group, and her job was to relay information from Paul to the wives. So my mom got to know this Lieutenant Paul Hawkins pretty well, and she decided, you know what, I like him a little bit better than that other guy.
He was so funny.
He's funny.
All the women in the wives group just loved when Lieutenant Hawkins would come because he'd make us laugh, and he made the meetings more fun.
Yeah, he won all the hearts. And so Mom, very sly that she is, didn't tell me this. And she very subtly at one of the meetings showed a picture of me to Paul and was like, "Oh, look, this is my daughter." And Paul was like, "Oh, nice." Nice. And so then we had a military video teleconference where we got to talk to our soldier on a video satellite phone in Iraq. And my dad obviously was the last to get on because he was the leader and he let all his soldiers go first. And Paul was in charge. So he was the man with the clipboard telling us when we could go in the room. And my mom knew he would be there. And so she told me to dress cute because there was this cute little lieutenant. And she wanted me to meet him. And so then we hit it off. And the rest is history. That was over 20 years ago. Can you believe that? 21 years ago that was.
Yes.
I ain't old enough for that. Are you?
No. I can't believe. But I'll never forget Chance, your littlest brother. He was little then.
He was 6.
Paul was trying to be slick, but he kept talking to you on the side. And all the ladies were like, "Don't let your daughter around Lieutenant Hawkins, look," and then Chance, he just walks right up to Paul and goes, "Are you going to take my sister on a date really loud. It embarrassed Paul, So anyway, that was pretty fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I sent him a little meme at
Mother's Day
with the little blind, and I'm saying, looking to see what my son-in-law sends me for Mother's Day, since I already gave him the greatest gift ever of my daughter.
Yeah. Yeah. She gets cred. You did a good job, Mom.
Yeah.
Good matchmaker.
And now I got those two precious babies.
Yeah. And so, all right, well, that is the story.
Back to business.
I know, back to business. Well, I was just gonna say, like, the sleepless nights and you pretty much doing it solo. I think you had one other person helping at the time before I came on. I mean, you did it solo for the first 4 years.
Yeah.
And you had like one part-time helper, and then I came on, and then here we are now. We have 17 internal team and well over 1,000 remote workers. And so there's the saying, the 10-year overnight success. It's easy for people to look at you today and go, wow, what a great idea. And man, she made it. But goodness, it was some work. Like, it was not easy.
It was not, it was not easy, but you know what? Nothing worth having really is. And although it may not have been it actually is turned out the way it was supposed to, because God had another idea. My idea was, but he had a greater plan, and I'm so grateful. And I can remember thinking, I'm getting older. Chastity is doing a great job, and I'd hired all the right team, and everything was going well. And basically, they were just slowly taking things off my plate. But it was still kind of hard for me to let it go. And finally, I said, I need to groom Chastity to kind of take over. And it's a good thing I did, because at some point, being the CEO, I was required to give up my laptop and stop working for agents as an employee and just be the owner of the company. So I had a great team in place, and it's been a hard road to let go, but I think I do a pretty good job now of just being the leader and letting y'all have your lane and staying out of your lane. Now, if you're on the phone and there's a problem and I happen to hear it, I want to know what's going on. But they don't, it's great where we are. And you're right, a leader allows their people to do their job, stay in their lane, and let them do their job. And it's been to see the growth. And then adding on Sidekicks, I'll never forget that conference when literally we are in Orlando in the middle of a hurricane. Mm-hmm. We're at one conference, and then there's another conference going on somewhere else in the city. And this agent finds out I'm in town, or my team is in town, and he comes, finds us, and says, I need to talk to you.
I remember this.
And it was 3 or 4 of them, actually. They all kind of hovered around us and said, we need your help. I love what my remote specialist does for me, but I want to hire another one to do XYZ. And this wasn't the first time an agent had told us this. They're like, we need help. And this is post-COVID. So people were having a hard time finding people to work. And so we need to hire more. Is there any way you could do this or do this or do this? And so that's when we started playing around with the idea of what now is called Sidekicks. And but at that point, I was slowly working towards retirement. I was like, I will consult you and I will help you. But if we want to start a new company, Chas, that's all on you. You're like, I got this.
Her exact words. I said, Mom, I think we're in a spot. I think we can make this happen. We've got this list of stuff agents needs help with. I think we can make something out of that. And she was like, look, I've started a business once, been there, done that. You can have it. And I will just help you.
And I'll sit back. But it was great because of ARS, Sidekicks is such a success. So it falls under that umbrella, and most agents think that, Sidekicks is a part of ARS, and I guess it really is because of the reputation and the business that we built. And so it's really been so great to see how fast Sidekicks took off because of the success and the reputation of Agency Resource Solutions. It's been amazing, and so many things are happening since then. And just last conference, we're like, "Can you just staff my whole office? Like, I want to hire this, and I'm just go ahead and staff me." No, it's so funny. But yeah, so that's what it's come to.
Yeah, it really has. I mean, we looked at how quickly Sidekicks grew, and it was definitely the reputation of Agency Resource Solutions, and the fact that you were remote before remote was cool. Remote's really cool now, and so everyone trusts remote work a lot more than they did back in 2011, and so it's definitely more mainstream, and it's been an easier buy-in from customers and remote workers. We used to have, actually it still happens. We have people apply for a remote job with us and they go, "This is a scam. There's no way this is real." And so every single time we have calls with new hires, we're like, "Look, we are real. Okay. This is real job with real money, and these are real agents. And this is not a scam. It's not a pyramid scheme. Like, this is legit. We promise." And it's amazing to me that all these years later, we still have to convince people that it's real. But sometimes we pinch ourselves. It doesn't seem real.
Well, and I think about, and I tell this story a lot when I get an opportunity to speak in front of agents. And we talk about the reputation of Agency Resource Solutions, and a really great agent gave me some great advice years ago, and I live by that. Not ever since he told me, not just in business but in life in general. One thing that he told me, and I was sitting in his office across from his desk. He was one of the first agents, and he was one of the most successful agents in the company. And I'll never forget, he said to me two things. One was, if people don't like you, they're not gonna like nothing you selling. And I like you. And it's true in life also, that if people don't like you, they pretty much gonna tune you out, anything else you got to say. And so that means keep your reputation clean, keep your nose clean, do the right thing. And he actually said that. He said the second piece of advice was, doing the right thing is always the right thing to do. No shortcuts, no cheating, no make quality over quantity. Don't make it about money. Just do the right thing by your clients, and they'll do the right thing by you. And it has served me well.
Yep. I think that is a fabulous spot to wrap, because that is the best advice I think you could give any business owner, is just do right by the people that trust you.
That's right.
Whether it's your customer or your employee or your remote worker or really anyone, if you show that character, they're going to trust you, and that comes around,
Well, final story, and because yesterday I got a call from an agent, and and we can end on this story, and this is why I think that's so what we just talked about. She's at a conference in Florida, or a meeting in Florida, and one agent sitting at the table started to complain about something that was really a misunderstanding. And my friend, who's also an agent, shut it down. She's like, listen, I'm not going to let you continue because I know these people and I know their reputation, and so does thousands of other agents. And so I'm going to shut that down, and you just need to talk to them directly. And turns out it was nothing like what it was being portrayed to be. So it's nice when you have that many people that are behind you and say, no, you're wrong. I know these folks. They're good. And that has to be a misunderstanding because they don't operate like that.
Yeah, that's huge because we're definitely not perfect. I mean, we mess up. But
obviously.
I think the difference is we own it and we do our best to make it right, by whomever it is that we're dealing with. And I guarantee you, probably the person that called you, probably we haven't done everything perfectly for them either, but they know our character, that we are in the business of helping and we will do everything that we possibly can to make a situation.
And people are going to make mistakes, and your remote specialist is going to make a mistake, and things slip through the cracks, and you can't. But you know what? That could be the case if they worked right in your office.
Yep. Everybody makes a bad hire sometimes, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. But that's really cool that we've built that level of trust and that our character shines through so well that someone's willing to go to bat for us. And I think that speaks volumes of what you've built and then what we've been allowed to continue. So I'm grateful that I was able to take over and carry the torch that my mom passed to me.
I passed the crown to you officially online. I mean, a real crown. I sat it on your head.
Yeah.
In January, you took over as CEO, and basically now you just tell me where to show up. You even make my travel arrangements. I'm like, you like my sidekick. I love it.
Yep, I do. Actually, my assistant makes your travel arrangements.
Oh,
shameless plug for my assistant. Everybody needs an assistant.
Well, so she just said, Mom, I just want you to come show up and be at this one. Okay, I'll do it.
Yeah. Well, all right. Well, for the sake of time, we're going to wrap. Any parting thoughts or advice you want to give the world before we wrap things?
Well, not really. I for all the agents and clients that are gonna see this or bits and pieces of it or however it gets on there, my remote service specialists, our sidekicks, my internal team, everybody that's involved. I mean, we would not be here where we are without them. And I didn't do this by myself. It was my idea. And like I said, I wasn't the sharpest knife in the kitchen. I didn't have a college education, but I surrounded myself by some great people. And every one of them, from you as the CEO all the way to the remote service specialist that's working one agent, just getting started. I mean, I just so appreciate everybody for the hard work that they put in. And I believe that it's more than a job to them. The majority of our people are taking their laptops to doctor's offices, to appointments, to while they're sitting in the car line. Their job is that important to them that some of them are in labor and they won't give up. They won't give it up. And we don't require them to do that. But they take that much pride in their work. And you just can't put a price tag on that.
I agree.
And I just love you all so much. And thank you so much. And especially you might be the CEO and the boss right now, but I'm still your mom and you're still my baby girl and I love you.
Oh, love you too, Mom.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, thank you for taking time today to join the Remotely Speaking podcast and to tell your story. It's so much better when you tell it than when I tell it. So I'm glad that people got to hear it from you. And if they didn't love you already, they love you now. And so I appreciate that. So thank you guys for listening and tuning in today. Be sure to like and subscribe and to listen to us anywhere you listen to a podcast, Apple, Amazon, Spotify. You can follow us on social media at Remotely Speaking Podcast on Instagram. And we hope that you'll join us next time.